My name is Yuri from Mouse, and we're back with our track guide. And as you might be able to see already, we are at the famous corkscrew of Laguna Seca. Very tricky small track, lots of fast combination of corners, a couple of blind apexes as well. So if you want to see how you drive this track, if you struggle with it, make sure to stick around and let's jump right into it. Right, so here we are, last sector. Lovely Audi again. Haven't been in this car for a while, but it's always a pretty good car on this track. Track's a lot of fun to lap. A lot of very technical sections, and of course the corkscrew coming up later as well. Like just before the tree here. The double apex and fire the car out of the corner. Over to the left side. Close to the curb here. Now we brake just before the 2 on the right side, get the car on the curb. We go over to the right side. For the kink is really easy to understeer on the exit. Manage to avoid it there. Now we want to brake in a straight line. Brake just before the curb starts. Keep it to the right side. So open up this corner here. Speed up. Like just before the 2. Try to get a good exit. And that's a lap already on the track. The corner's going up here really quick, so let's have a look on the outside cam how this looks like. Alright, so here we are, start the lap. Obviously you want to keep it to the inside on a run up to turn 1. You don't want to keep it fully to the inside because we want to make sure that the braking for turn 1, like the hairpin, proper turn 1, is in a straight line. So we want to make it to the outside here. Even get 2 tires slightly to the right side on this runoff here, and then try to brake as much in the straight line as we can. And because it's a double apex corner, I like to brake kind of straight towards the apex here. I don't keep it all the way to the outside. Brake towards the apex here, and then make sure I hit the apex at the first one here. And then you don't want to run too wide in the middle here. If you run too wide, the car can understeer a lot. So keep it around the middle of the track. And then before you get to the second apex, you should already have the rotation in the car and the car pointed towards the exit. That way, before we hit the big inside curb here, or like get close to the big inside curb, we don't actually drive over it. We can already be on the throttle and point the car out of the corner. Then we bring the car all the way to the left side. We brake on with 2 tires on the left side on the curb. We brake between the 2 and the 1. But you really want to be looking at the apex already for turn 2. You don't want to be looking at the white line here still. You want to be looking where you're going. Again, the braking here, where you brake, doesn't matter that much. As long as you keep speed into the corner, you get a good apex. And most importantly, you get the weight on the front end so the car wants to turn in here without losing the rear. Again, on the exit here, we want to be using the curb. The curb disappears for a bit, so we go back to the track and then we go back into the curb to open up our entry to turn 3. Want to make sure that we brake just before we start turning. So tap the brakes just before you start turning. That puts weight on the front end. Front end has grip then. Get towards the apex here, and then if you broke before you start turning, the weight's on the front, and then use that weight to get the car rotated. You can see the weight's on the front, the rear's got a small slip angle into the corner. If you've got that, you can go to the throttle really early and the car will keep rotation. So we're on the throttle already really early. That will help us with the exit speed. And we will keep the rotation because the weight was on the front end while we started doing that. And we want to brake just before the 2 here around the white line. And then slowly get the car over to the left side. We want to be using the curb on the inside here, and because we have camber, we can go onto the throttle really early, and the car will stick. Then comes the kink, and the kink is always very tricky because you don't know exactly where the kink is because you can't see it. So we're running again 2 tires on the curb as we do everywhere on this track because we want to extend the corner as much as we can. We want to brake a bit. I like to keep it in 4th, and then around this white line here I start to turn in. But again, I don't look at the white line, I look at where the apex is going to be. From the cockpit cam quickly. So we tap the brakes here around the 2, and then around the white line we start turning in. But you really want to look at the apex and have that as a reference instead of looking still here on the right side, because then you're going to miss the corner because you don't see where you're going. So once we get to the top of the hill, I just use this as a reference, and you have to just practice where the car is going to be with your inputs. It's tricky to have like a point where you want to start turning in that you can actually look at. It's more of a feeling thing, and you want to make sure that you don't hit this big inside anti-cut. You want to get close to it, and you want to be on throttle before you hit the bottom of the corner here. And then if you do that, the car will get compressed into the road and suddenly will start turning again from the understeer that you have on the entry because the track is falling away from you. So we get to this point here. This point here, the car will start understeering because the track is falling away. Go closer to the corner, closer to the corner. We want to make sure that we're almost at this anti-cut, but never hit it. If you hit this, the car is going to understeer into the gravel on the right side. And again, we can be on throttle already, even though the car is understeering, because the car at this point here will get compressed into the road. You can see it on the right side as well with the sparks coming off. It gets pushed into the road, and suddenly the car has a lot of grip, and it starts going to the left side. You just have to trust that the car will stick once it gets compressed into the road. And the best way to practice this is just every lap go a bit faster, and see how much the car will stick, and make sure that you're on throttle before you get to that compression. It's really easy to understeer wide here, get 2 tires into the gravel or even more, and then understeer to the gravel trap. So that's just a case of going a bit faster every lap and looking where that limit is. Then for the famous corkscrew, we want to be having the car on the left side here to have straight line braking as much as we can, so we don't run the car to the right side on the middle, all the way on the left side. We try to turn here while we're flat out, and then once we start braking, we try to have a wheel as straight as possible, and that will ensure that we can brake as hard as we can without going into the ABS too much. And we want to brake around where the curb starts, again in a straight line, and you don't even want to follow the curb on the right side here. You want to brake in a straight line. Yeah, just straight line. We don't follow the track on the right side, because then we would have to go off the brakes too much. Bring the car to the inside here. You can even clip the gravel a bit here. And then for what I think is the trickiest part of the track, we get the blind corner here. Again, from the cockpit view, you cannot see where the track is going at all. There's a gravel trap on the right side here. If you hit that, you could lose the car, but every time you get an off track. If you go too far to the left side, you're going to be losing too much time or understeering off on the exit. So you need to have a reference point. The reference point is you go about straight to the tree. So from this point here, from the entry, you aim straight for the tree on the exit here. But again, you cannot really look at the tree while you're driving, because you need to see where you're going. So from my experience, it's just practice on where the track is going. And at the start, if you don't know exactly where the track is going at all, you can use this tree as a reference. But while you're driving at this point here, you need to be looking at where you're going again to prepare for a good exit and adjust anything for that. So from this point here, if you did it right, the track falls away from you, and you can suddenly see the curb here around the middle of the car, maybe a bit further to the right. You can clip the gravel a tiny bit, and if you do it the right way, again, the car at the bottom of the hill gets compressed into the road, and you can trust that. You can go throttle before the car turns already, because the car will get pushed into the road and will get the rotation once it's pushed into the road. So we can use that by going to throttle already, and then you do it the right way. The car will stick to the inside. You don't have to run all the way to the left side. So we stick to the inside or middle of the track. We don't run all the way to the left. And what that does, it opens up the next long left-hander. And this corner is really tricky. You can open it up a bit from the middle as well, but if you have a good run of the corkscrew, you should be able to go all the way to the right here. And then we're braking in the middle of the corner. or even lifting a bit here because I got a really good entry. I only have to lift, and you lift early again to put weight on the front, and if that weight's on the front, the rotations in the car, we can slowly start building the throttle up again, and keep the rotation in the car. Second to last corner, we want to be using the curb on the left side, brake between the 2 and the 1. And this corner is just about keeping your speed up. It doesn't really matter where you brake too much. It's more about just having the right balance in the car and keeping the speed up in the car. Again, there's massive camber in this corner, meaning we can go on throttle already before the apex. The car will get compressed into the road. That brings us to the last corner. Want to make sure that we're running to the last corner as quick as we can to the right side. We look at the 2 marker, we brake just at the 2 or just after the 2. And again, we use the curb on the right side to brake on as much in the straight line as we can. So before we start braking here, we want to be sure that our right side of the car is already at the curb, braking in a straight line. And turn in late to make sure we get a good exit from the last corner. Good run to the line. And that's lapping the Audi around Laguna Seca. Right, so there we go. A bit of a roller coaster of a track. Lots of elevation changes, lots of blind apexes, lots of camber on the track as well. It's a really, really fun track to hot lap, I think. It's a bit tricky to race on, so qualifying will be really important. Nailing that 1 or 2 laps you can get in qualifying will be crucial for your race. I wish everyone a good luck in their week. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you guys next week for another track guide.